I'm always delighted to be with Saul who's been such a leader in the conservative movement and the Republican Party.
Welcome to the Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for August 26th, 2022. A new op-ed from Saul states, "Actually, Ron Johnson is a champion for the future of both Social Security and Medicare." There's no arguing the fact that Social Security and Medicare funds will be exhausted in the coming years. Reports have shown that Medicare funds will run dry in 2028, while the trust fund reserves for Social Security will be unable to pay full benefits starting in 2034. This is a serious crisis that most politicians refuse to even discuss. For far too long, our leaders have refused to even discuss the viability of these dying programs. However, much like his approach on many other issues, Johnson has been willing to approach this crisis head-on and analyze our programs from a business-minded perspective. Senator Johnson believes that Social Security and Medicare are two essential programs that need to be protected and their long-term viability guaranteed for generations to come. He has always been a strong advocate for the senior community so they can enjoy their retirement just like past generations of Americans. The generation before us created Social Security, and Johnson is fighting to ensure their programs remain solvent for our children and grandchildren. That will not happen if we continue steering on our current path. We would strongly encourage you to read the full op-ed by clicking on the link in the description below. The Washington Times reports, FDA finalizes rule to sell hearing aids over the counter. President Biden on Tuesday hailed a final rule from the Food and Drug Administration that will make hearing aids available without a prescription, a move that is expected to slash costs for consumers. The move implements the Over-the-Counter Hearing Aid Act, which was passed by Congress as part of an FDA authorization bill during the Trump administration in 2017. 1 in 3 Americans aged 65 to 75 and half of those over 75 have trouble hearing, but aids often are not covered by private insurance or Medicare. Senator Chuck Grassley, an Iowa Republican, and Senator Elizabeth Warren, a Massachusetts Democrat, have been vocal champions of over-the-counter sales, underscoring bipartisan support for the idea. And finally, townhall.com reports, majority of Americans no longer trust mainstream media, regardless of party. It's not news that Americans' trust in mainstream media has dissolved over the past few years. Former President Trump hailed political news networks as fake news when it became apparent that the networks no longer delivered unbiased information and instead pushed for a certain narrative. According to a new Rasmussen Reports poll, 62% of voters believe media bias is getting worse, and 82% say fake news is only going to become a bigger problem than it is now. 52% of voters just don't trust political media overall. However, trust in the media varied between parties. 67% of Republicans and conservatives were quick to say they are wary of what to believe on the news, while 55% of Democrats say they do trust news about President Joe Biden, Washington, and Congress. And that concludes your Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for August 26th, 2022. For more political news faster, visit saulsnews.com.